It might surprise you, but banking in the US could be a good option for your business. My name is Rusudan. I have been working with Nomad Capitalist for the last 4 years, helping high net worth individuals legally reduce their taxes and go where they are treated best. This might come as a surprise that on our channel we are talking about the benefits of banking in the US, but in some certain specific cases, it could actually be a good option for your business. And in today's video, you will learn exactly when it is a good option and what kind of benefits you're getting from banking in the US. So the first thing that comes to mind, like what are the benefits? Why would you even consider banking in the US as an option? Because we have always said that global banking, diversification, and going offshore is the solution and is the solution and the goal that you should be aiming for. And in this specific case, we are definitely recommending banking in the US, but only in specific situations. Now let's break it down. The first thing is why do we think that US banking has something additional, some added on value that you could be getting that maybe are not available in other jurisdictions? The first thing is I do think that sometimes the US banking system comes off as very secure compared to some other options that may be available for you. So there is definitely, with the proper structure and with the proper cash flow planning, and maybe not keeping all your funds in the US, it can definitely help you diversify your banking plan for your business, and also give you access to, like, it has been known for a lot of time that it is very beneficial and that it's kind of secure. They do have reserves and they do also provide some security, and so maybe that is something that you would be considering. Another benefit that the US provides is, especially for the types of businesses that have e-commerce or are like merchant-based businesses, it gives you access to lots of different payment platforms like PayPal, Stripe, etc., and payment processing platforms, where those may be available for other countries and other banking systems. However, the fees there would be higher. So maybe the US in that regard is more robust and gives you more opportunities to have access to maybe cheaper merchant services that you can incorporate in your e-commerce business, for example. And if you have a US bank account that you connected to, the fees and the whole process gets really simpler compared to if you were to have a bank account in some other country, and you would have to have a PayPal account in those other countries as well, and maybe the fees there would be on a higher end compared to the US. So definitely there's some like monetary benefit that you would be getting with banking in the US. The other benefit of banking in the US is, I guess, the familiarity, especially for businesses where you have US clients. Maybe it's going to be easier for the US person to pay to a US bank account, and you will be seen as a more credible business if you have a bank account in the US. And more importantly, like we have seen that in Nomad ourselves, like it's easier for a person who has a US bank account to pay to the US bank account, to transfer it, to make a domestic transfer compared to international. Because like we've seen cases where not every bank is flexible. So in some cases for international transfer, you had to go to the branch to make this transfer from the US. So it's like you want to make sure that the client really doesn't have to jump through lots of holes to make sure that they pay your fees or like your the services and for the services and the goods that you are delivering. So it is very important to make things easy for them, and maybe having a US bank account definitely does that because it's more familiar. Because for US people, it may be even difficult to kind of understand how to process the payment to the European bank account where you have IBAN and where you have SWIFT code, when then internally for domestic transfers, they don't need that. They have a routing number, ABA, and the account number, and it's kind of totally easier to do that compared to making an international transfer. So in most cases, like even for our client, when we deal with client who has a business that is connected to the US, client-wise or vendor-wise or some other cases, we always try to give them an option where, yes, for tax purposes, you definitely need to get away from the US probably. You definitely have an option to restructure your business in a way that you do not pay a lot of tax there, but that doesn't mean that there are some like everything in the US is bad. Like there are some good parts, and there is a way to maintain those good parts, and maybe banking can be one of them. So definitely with this, all the benefits that we right now discussed and talked about, it makes sense that you would be considering maybe getting or maintaining a business account in the US. But that doesn't always mean that it's going to work for every business and for every person and for every situation. So now that we discussed what is the value that you're getting, let's talk about how to get that. Like there are several scenarios where banking in the US would work for a business. And then there are some challenges too, because like not every bank is available for foreign companies, right? So maybe you need some kind of a presence in the US to be eligible to open a bank account. And if that is the case, you need to be very careful with taxation, right? So if you have a more than sufficient connection to the US, maybe US will deem you as taxpayer there. So there's always a balance that you need to maintain. However, if you can manage to be on the safe side with the taxation and can open a bank account, of course it can be really easy to manage that. And also it is very helpful for diversification. Like if you have a US bank account, if you have a, let's say, European bank account, if you have an account that's really accessible to the Asian customers and clients, of course it gives you diversity. Even when you're talking to a client, you're like, okay, where are you going to be sending the money from? Here is the bank account that can work well for this specific case. So you are making it easier for your clients and customers to pay you, and you are also like showing them that you have these options. As we said, it is also very important to make sure that the banking that you have with the US also works with other, like the whole banking structure and the legal structure that you're maintaining, right? Because it is also very important. Do you have a non-US company that has a bank account in the US? It is possible to get it done, but it is not possible for every jurisdiction to get that in the US, right? So that is also like, what are your circumstances in the specific case to see if you are eligible for the bank account in the US. The other thing is also like, what kind of balance are you maintaining there? Because even if we say that it's a good opportunity to have this bank account, it doesn't mean that you should have all your funds there, right? It's diversification. It's making sure that your funds are distributed in a way that you have an option of the US bank account that you can offer to your client, but also at the same time you are not dependent on how US deals with like what's going to happen in the US. Like even if there's something that's going to stop you with from having access to that, you're not going to have like a huge amount there, and you're not going to be dependent on that amount. So in addition to this, the other consideration that we always have, especially for our clients and ourselves as well, is what is the purpose of this account. So we talked a lot about how you can use that for the client to pay you, but in some cases maybe it's a good transactional account for you to pay vendors too. There are situations where maybe you have vendors in the US, or maybe you have vendors who kind of prefer to be paid in US dollars. So it's easier to maintain a bank account in the US that has the currency for the US dollars, and it's gonna save you some on fees and conversion fees and rates. And one of the benefits, of course, of the US bank account is the access to US dollar and maybe diversification that it provides. Also, now that I mentioned the transactional fees, we have experience with lots of different banking systems in different countries, and they might say that in some cases the US is very less expensive than some other jurisdictions, especially for international payments. And that is definitely something that you need to take into consideration. In addition to the fees, it's also about there are sometimes some promotional activities that the banks in the US have. For example, there's maybe a minimum deposit requirement, but if you maintain a slightly higher balance there, they will waive some fees. Like maybe that can be a monthly maintenance fee that you will not be obligated to pay, or maybe it's going to be like a transactional fees. For example, in some cases you have to pay per transaction, and in some cases you can agree that you're going to pay like one monthly fee and not pay per transaction for every payout that you are making. And also note that in some cases you have to pay for incoming transfers as well. That is That doesn't always happen with every bank, and the US in the US I've seen it a lot more than maybe in the Asian banking system. Now that we talked about benefits of getting the US bank account and specific scenarios where maybe it could be a good option for your business, we can say that definitely this can be on your radar, and you can also maybe speak to your tax accountant or come to us at Nomad Capitalist, and we will be happy to see if that is one piece of the puzzle that could maybe work and make sure that your legal structure and banking system is giving you the goals and helping you achieve the goals that you have. Because as we said, the more options you have and the more diverse you are for your business, the easier it is to kind of think about the growth compared to thinking about the technical sides of infrastructure that you maybe are thinking right now, be that the payment platforms, how would that work with your current banking system, and so on. So as surprising as it may seem, we see that the US banking could be a good option for your business. And if this is something that we can further assist you with, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, and we will be happy to help. And if not, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I will see you in the next episode.